Amazon PPC day parting. Should you use it? Is it worth it? What software should you use? A feature that wasn't commonly available through Ads Manager, it's a new feature in Amazon that you can use without using any expensive software. I'm Vadim, the founder and CEO of PPC JumpStart, and in this quick tutorial I will show you the principles and ways we can optimize our campaigns based on the time of the day. And this is the exact same approach we follow in our agency. First things first, how do you get the data to analyze so that you know that certain hours are working best for your specific campaigns or your keywords? Is you would go to your ads manager, obviously, sponsored ad reports, and then you would download sponsored product campaign reports. You would click campaign, hourly, and we want last 14 days data. Once we have that, we will have this report right here in our Google Sheets, and this is what it would look like. And then what we would do is we would create a pivot table that would look something like that. We have our campaign name here, start time, impressions, spent, clicks, and total orders. We want to pay specific attention to clicks on orders to understand whether we're having a good conversion for our campaigns. In fact, I've already analyzed this report and I have a series of campaigns here. Well, first of all, I noted down the name of the campaign, then its previous sales. So we were analyzing the period of November 1 to 14. And this is a spreadsheet you can also use. Let's go over specific campaigns and how you can analyze your data. First campaign that I found out has a good potential to work with this new bid scheduling rules. This campaign right here, 49 clicks, 3 orders. We want to only examine campaigns that get some significant amount of clicks or orders, so it's sufficient data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this campaign, and then I can see that's around noon, like say 11 to 12 p.m. Out of 13 clicks, we have 3 orders. Then you can type in here clicks, orders, and then let's say from 11 to 12, the sum of our clicks, it was 13 clicks. And how many orders are we having? So I don't need to do the formula, 3 clicks, and then our conversion rate. So quick calculation, 23% conversion around noon time for this campaign, right? But once you consider the amount of clicks we got in other times of the day, so we can do a quick formula again. Sum, so it's gonna be anything around this range, and it's gonna be anything after noon. So we got 36 clicks. Okay, so this displayed an error, but anyways, 36 clicks, and it came up to 0 orders. So the conversion is obviously worse. And you would want to consider this as a valid data as long as it's like 2 or more orders, 3 orders is good. In this case, I'm pretty confident that this campaign is gonna work best around noon time. Then what I would copy this to my performance analyzing spreadsheet that you can use. I would note down its sales, November 1 to 14, ACOS, etc. And then let me show you how we can analyze another campaign. And then I will talk about how we can set up the rules. The second campaign was, okay, it was actually this campaign that I want to show you. Again, you're analyzing this report, you're looking for like sufficient data, plenty of clicks, plenty of orders. This campaign in particular, 65 clicks, 5 orders. And we can already see that again around noon time, our conversion, almost 50% conversion rate. And in other times, no sales at all. And it's been from what, 65 clicks, so that's quite significant. We want to optimize this campaign for these times of the day, 10 to 11 p.m. So the next question is, how do we do that? Let's open each of these campaigns specifically. So the first campaign I talked about, let's get this campaign right here. We are going to copy this here. I've already optimized it, but I will show you what I did so you understand the approach we can follow. We are looking at the data of November 1 to 14. CPC 0.64, top of search, and then this kind of cost per click, we tend to get orders and the ACOS is good. So that means after our scheduling rule, we want to be in at least that CPC range. And these rules, they stack up. So meaning whatever rule you add here is going to be an increase on top of the top of search of placement. We need to build a formula that can help us get to this ACOS around this specific time of 10 to 11 a.m. to around this CPC. And we want to stay much below that CPC at other times so we don't show up as much in the ad auction. What I did in this case is that we know that for this campaign we need to be at 64, right? And our placement is 85%. So then our bid becomes $1.11. And after the rule, you can adjust it, and then it needs to be at 50%, so we come up right at that CPC. What we do next is, I believe the bid was much higher before, we would update the bid to this range. So we would keep the top of search and we would add the scheduling rule. What's going to happen for the next 2 weeks is that this campaign, it will show up in the auction only during specific times of the day. Suppose will work best based on our data. Again, 10 to 11 a.m. I have it set up right here. In these times of the day, 10 to 11, our bid is going to be $1.64 on top of search, and this will result in orders. It will result in impressions, click, and orders. At other times, our bid is going to be only $1.11. We won't show up as much. So this is the idea behind letting your campaigns show up at the best times of the day, and at other times you don't get as many impressions. I hope that makes sense. Another campaign that I'll show you to help you better understand it. This was the very first campaign that I showed you guys. Again, same approach. We find this campaign in the ads manager. So this is a campaign, top of search placement. We know our CPC and we have our targeting. So we need to set up our base bid in such a way that it's low enough and it doesn't trigger impressions and click at other times of the day, except the time we figured out works best. So in this case, it was around noon time. And we have our scheduling rule set to 25%, 12 to 1, and it's based on the performance of 1 to 14 November. Again, same calculation. Our top of search placement, 90% right here. And let's say I think our bid was much higher before like this, and our scheduling rule is 25. Think, what does our base bid needs to be so that our final bid, our scheduling rule, it becomes at least 395, but at other times of the day, it's low enough so it doesn't trigger top of search or any other placements. So after some math, it works out to be to around $1.70. So now that this campaign is set up at a low bid and the scheduling rule is added, it will only trigger impressions and clicks based on the hours that we suppose, based on the data in this hourly spreadsheet, work best for this campaign. You would do that, you would adjust your base bid, make sure it's high enough to trigger top of search placement as a cost per click, and then you would have the spreadsheet where you would go in 2 weeks later, and then you would analyze your data, your sales, your ACOS, and see if there was an improvement. One important thing to mention is that sometimes you might make your base bid too low that it will not enter the auction for top of search. So in that case, what we do is a couple of days later, once we set up the campaign with a base bid and the scheduling rule, we go in a couple of days later and then we check the performance. For this campaign, we set up 60 cents, right? So this was on November 14. Then we can see 2 days later, are we still getting impressions? Looks like for this case, the bid was too low. That's why we see the impression drop. Then we would reassess the campaign like it would be today, and then we would adjust the base bid to be a little higher, say by $1. Then we would remove that placement modifier and still have, so it shows up around this number right here. Just to remind you, this is cost per click we get. Then you adjust that. Let's make the placement. You can adjust either the placement rule or scheduling rule. It depends on if you're triggering a lot of clicks on other placements. In this particular case, I would not adjust our bid above 90 cents because you might trigger other placements that don't work as well for this campaign. I hope it's not getting too complicated, and I do have a separate video for placements, which is the first video on my YouTube channel. But in this particular case, so it was 60 cents right here, and then it was 60 cents. I would probably adjust it back to 90. Then I would slightly reduce that. This comes at around 164. Let's keep it at around 50. It's a safe level so that we don't get many impressions on displacements. And then I would probably reduce that rule just so we come to that level and we are not too high. Maybe even 1.7. Let me do it this way. This is the adjustment I'm going to make. 175. What I've done, we've done our scheduling rule on November 14 or whatever the period was, and a few days later we checked, okay, we see a drop in impressions. Why? Typically because our bid is too low to enter any auctions. So we go back to this campaign, we slightly increase the bid, and then we observe again over the next few days. And this is the idea. And once you get this combination right, you should typically see good performance based on the fact that you made this campaign work only for specific hours of the day, around 10 to 11 a.m. So I'm gonna make a note here, and this is what I also recommend you to do. Any changes you make to your campaigns, placements, hourly scheduling rules, you add a date when you made the change, and then you add like a change you made. So I'll say 25, I'll say November 16, and I'm gonna go here and edit that rule, 25%. And this bid, like we discussed, is gonna be 90 cents. And the reason we don't want it to be much higher is that we don't want to get any traffic from product pages and rest of search based on the conversion rate. You can see top of search is working pretty well. And again, placement 50%. Keep this in mind, set up your rules, and then use the spreadsheet to track your performance. So this was a part 1 video of my day parting Amazon PPC videos. There's going to be 2 parts or 3 parts. In the second part, I will show you how to analyze account performance, overall account performance, not per campaign level, overall, based on the hour of the day, and see if you can see any patterns. So this is just a preview that we can see that first part of the day, 12 a.m. to 1 p.m., the performance is significantly better. Better conversion rate, better ROAS. So this is going to be a second video to help you analyze your overall account and not per campaign level like I showed you previously. So stick around for that, click subscribe, and this video should be coming in a couple of days. I hope this information was valuable to you guys, and if you find anything complicated or you want to outsource this, feel free to contact us. We will do an audit of your account before our first meeting or on the second meeting, and then the data is shared with you on the hourly performance level, hourly per campaign level, day parting, hourly parting. We can do all of that in the audit, and we will share with you any of our findings. Feel free to go to our website ppcjumpstart.com, read through our testimonials, everything is real, you can contact any references, and then we have our pricing available at the bottom of our website. Thanks, subscribe, and see you next time.